Girlhood and womanhood have been divided both in film and life for a very long time. With a constant generation gap always around, viewers have become accustomed to seeing a drift between teens and adults, meaning that girls and women are also shown in this manner. With that in mind, we want to question the aesthetics of girlhood in comparison with womanhood, using the 2015 film The Falling, directed by Carol Morley, and the 1999 Sofia Coppola film The Virgin Suicide. We will be comparing how these films display girlhood and womanhood, and what the directors may have intended to display in their films through their cinematography, sound design, mise-en-scène, and much more. Although it is important to note, as said by Greg Smith, a film does not have a single message with which we either get or do not. A film is not a telegraph, meaning that these views in which we display are what we have picked up as viewers, and therefore they may differ from what others have picked up. Morley has stated, "I am interested in representing girls and women behaving in all sorts of ways and pushing the boundaries of socially acceptable behavior." That in mind, the arriving in school clip of The Falling displays a want to push the audience's pre-perceived ideas of girlhood.
There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight, to me did seem apparelled in celestial light, the glory and the freshness of a dream. It is not now as it hath been of yore. Turn wheresoe'er I may, by night or day, the things which I have seen I now can see no more.
This clip displays many ideas of girlhood and womanhood. We are shown girlhood in Lamb as well as Susan, and womanhood through Lydia's mother and perhaps Abby. I would like to first explore girlhood, as stated by Masafumi Monden. School uniform operates as a sartorial signifier of girlish femininity that is placed between infantile and fully grown women. In this clip, we are shown Lamb and Susan in their uniforms. Therefore, Morley is portraying them as girls going through girlhood. Though the uniform could suggest that all girls are the same and that they are going through the same thing, Morley contrasts this by using the subliminals that flicker on the screen to display the girls' stories, not just Lamb's, Abby's, and Susan's, but the rest of the girls, showing their own struggles through girlhood. Therefore, Morley does not want to show girls as being all the same. She wants to show that each girl has a struggle within the idea of growing up and achieving womanhood. So, it is established that the uniform is a signifier for girlhood. Yet, Abby also wears a uniform, though it is important to note that her uniform differs from the rest of the girls. It is less smart, and she is early on reprimanded for her skirt being too short, representing her character's promiscuity. This ties in to the clip as we see Abby engaging in sexual act which we later learn is the breaking of her virginity. In many cultures, this act is seen to represent the beginning of womanhood, as it is seen as a loss of purity and innocence. This returns to Morley's want to show a more grittier, realistic side of girlhood, a side in which is not discussed, the loss of girlhood. Another symbol in which Morley uses to show womanhood is hair. In this clip, we see Lydia watching her mother do her hair up. Her mother uses a lot of product and has her hair up neatly and tightly in a bun. This is shown to be in stark contrast with the rest of the girls' hair, including Lamb's. Lamb, Abby, and Susan all have natural hair. None of the girls seem to have their hair up straight or in a bun. Instead, the girls wear their hair down, and, in many scenes, it looks wild and unkempt. This is the difference between girlhood and womanhood. Morley takes it down to a simple act: hair. Lydia's mother has become more conscious of the way she looks and is perceived. She is uptight and kept, and has lost her idea of wildness and adventure. Yet the girls have got life to live. The hair is wild, and so are they. The pan shot from Lydia to her mother shows this. Lydia looks to her mother with tired eyes. She does not see the appeal of womanhood. She does not understand Abby. She sees girlhood as an adventure and wishes to explore it instead of hiding from it. Perhaps this is Molly's message. Perhaps this is her idea. That girlhood is not something to be shied away from. That becoming a woman is not something to be shied away from. That it should be explored and seen by audiences to fully be appreciated and understood.
In this part, we'll be looking at the aesthetic of girlhood compared to womanhood in the Virgin Suicides.
Cecilia, the youngest, was 13. And Lux was 14. Bonnie was 15. Mary was 16. And Therese was 17. No one could understand how Mrs. Lisbon and Mr. Lisbon, our math teacher, had produced such beautiful creatures.
So this is the first scene of the movie where we can see all the Lisbon girls as a group. We can see that each one of her are depicted one after the other, from the youngest Cecilia to the eldest Therese. The order of the girls coming out of the car is a deliberate choice from Sofia Coppola to highlight the way time goes by and how gradually girls are heading towards womanhood. Also, we notice that after that Therese, the eldest, is presented to the viewers, the next shot of the movie shows the mother as well as the father of the Lisbon girls to not break that idea of the continuity of the girls gradually evolving towards womanhood. Now, in terms of aesthetic, the way girlhood is depicted seems absolutely flawless. Indeed, each girls are introduced with a really happy music in the background, and their names are written in a kind of a stereotypical girly way. This choice of aesthetic is in total opposition of what their life really are when you know the movie. As Alison Kupperman said, Sofia Coppola films are known for their soft palettes, feminine stylization. If the girls seem carefree, the mother, her, really seems to be focused on something that she's reading, and she doesn't take the time to give a look at her daughters coming out of the car. By showing Mrs. Lisbon having that kind of attitude for the first time she appears on the screen, it enlightens the lack of attention of the mother towards her girls. Another important detail in this clip is the fact that in this scene where both of the parents are shown for the first time, the two of them are under a tree, which symbolize the maturity and the knowledge because it's an old entity. We can also see in this clip that all the girls are dressed really lightly at the opposite of her mother that is wearing a heavy coat, a scarf and a purse. This means that in girlhood, girls are depicted in a more natural and sincere way, and they are presented to the viewers as they really are. They don't need to hide behind any trick or disguise. At the opposite, in womanhood, this disguise is the result of many years of oppression by the society that forces people to fade for the benefit of a larger group. Cecilia is the first to realize this harsh reality, and because of the lack of communication between her parents and her elder sisters, she will be the first one to commit suicide.
I will be focusing on few comparisons between Cara Morley's The Falling and Sofia Coppola's The Virgin Suicide by showing the similarities and differences of their girlhood and womanhood from the specific clips. Both films have the same idea of female unity of what can possibly happen amongst a close-knit group of girls and women at different stages. The older they are, the more they have to deal with their desires and the challenges of womanhood. Other than that, both films show similarity in the atmosphere. While The Falling took place in 1960s, The Virgin Suicides took place in 1970s, which was also a time of anxiety about shifts in the way female sexuality was displayed and represented. The Falling and The Virgin Suicides focus on a lot of trees and nature surrounding. For example, in early scene of The Virgin Suicides, the audiences can see a wide shot of the elm trees around the neighborhood. It is not that difficult to see that the elm trees are at any different from the Lisbon sisters. The elm trees seem to be fine on the early scenes of the film, just like the Lisbon sisters, but it is slowly sick and dying but also alive. Same goes to The Falling. From the beginning of the film, we are being treated to the lively imagery of the autumnal countryside. The oak trees, which the girls had carved the initials, then slowly a close-ups of the girl's hair in a fetishized way. One of the differences between both of the films is the narrator. The Falling's narrator is Lydia reciting a poem from her school from the early scene, and the Virgin Suicide's narrator is a voice of a teenage boy talking about his perspective of the Lisbon sisters, which also focuses on girls' typical stereotypes. Furthermore, the hair in both films play an important role of defining the characteristic of the girlhood and womanhood. In the Virgin Suicide, all of the Lisbon sisters all have the hair down representing the youthness nature, which is also shown in their blonde hair, which is in contrast with their mother, whose hair is blonde and grayish and also pulled back tightly, that represents womanhood. There are few connotations of a blonde hair. Mostly, blonde hair is associated with negativity, myths, or stereotypes. While in The Falling, we see Lydia in her dark short hair, which is also different from her mother, who looks synthetic red and also tied up tightly, which shows the character's characteristics as a womanhood.
Overall, we feel these films display women and girls being in contrast. Through cinematography and mise-en-scène, we as an audience see how women, particularly mothers, are shown to be adrift with girls, particularly their daughters. Though, as put as Francis K. Gatewood, womanhood and wifehood are a kind of enforced girlhood. This suggests that women, like girls, are pinned to a way of life they cannot escape, and although girlhood and womanhood may be seen in different aesthetic ways, they are both, in fact, a patriarchal idea set by society. The Falling's ending portrays womanhood and girlhood bonding and joining in power, while the Virgin Suicide shows what can happen if they are pinned against one another, and if they do not break free from what Morley puts as socially acceptable behaviour.